This is the news review segment right here on the AM show, and we're back on your screens. Did I say screens? Screens. Benjamin and I are in the studio, and we are sandwiching the NDC parliamentary candidates for Ketu North. Edem Agbana is our guest for the news review. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm welcoming you because I'm on the far right.
Should I scream?
Because I said... Today, Eric came in the studio very early, so Benjamin has nothing to say. He has nothing on Edem today.
Today, I didn't come to work. I came to play. Right. But right before we get in and usher in the conversation, you do know that this segment is always brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's what they're offering you. As always, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Do you know your fertility status? Do you know what's happening with your prostate? I see the way Edem is looking at me. I'll be coming to him shortly. But reach out to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic at any of their branches. Here in Accra, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiaman Zama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. And just the start of the news review as we grill tilapia this morning. And who's going to be grilled? Edem Agbana. Good to have you.
Good to have you.
Nice.
If you've given me
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And by the way, both of you are looking very Ghanaian this morning.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
We try to represent.
We are repping the flag.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're repping the flag.
You know how we do it. Yeah. Benjamin is going to ask you some... going to give you some...
Oh, will I?
Yeah, you will. Give you a minute or two to tell us something then.
Okay, so...
I like when you do it.
We usually do this. She's just throwing it back to me. But we allow our guests on the news review to share their thoughts on any pertinent matters in the country. No politics. Stick to the issues. And let's talk Ghana.
Well, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers across the world, and to sincerely appreciate the good people of Ketu North for the support and warm reception throughout the Easter holidays. I attended over 20 programs, and one of the things that I find quite interesting and commendable is the fact that almost all the communities we visited, they are initiating some self-help projects and only asking the politicians and other stakeholders to donate to support them. It tells us that communities are no more waiting for government to lead the process for development. Communities are taking initiatives. In some communities, young people were contributing to drill boreholes and all of that. And I think that these things are commendable. And I found them good examples for other constituencies or other communities to emulate. But going into my 2 minutes, there's an issue that is of concern to me. It has to do with the investigations about the National Scholarship Secretariat.
You read my mind. Because if you hadn't gone there, I would have gone there with you.
And for me, I am surprised that that issue is not inciting the kind of national conversation that I thought it should.
Are you sure?
Yes. And
have you followed this network?
Well, I'm following your network. But when I say national conversation, you know how some particular issues trend across board on all networks. It is not same. Your network is doing very well. Maybe because the Fourth Estate, the likes of Manasseh and Co, have worked with multimedia and all of that. But aside multimedia, many of the other media networks are not giving it the attention that it deserves. And it breaks my heart. Benjamin, there is a growing perception among young people that the political class are only interested in working for themselves and their families. It is a disturbing trend such that I fear that someday, if we don't take some pragmatic steps to address these issues, young people of this country may rise up against the political class. But when I say the political class, we are all included. It is not just a matter of NPP, NDC, CPP, all of us who find ourselves in politics. Because already, young people are thinking that politicians are not working in their interests. And then you wake up to, we are doing so much. Some of us are trying our best to change this narrative, to get people to believe that our democracy may not have worked for us or deliver the progress that it should, but it is still the best way forward. I have always said that democracy may not be delivering the outcomes that we expect, but I'll always choose the ballot over bullet. And yet, you wake up to the news that scholarships meant for brilliant and needy Ghanaians is also being shared like cake among the people who are high-ranking officials in government.
Let me just interject briefly. I'll let you go on. But
yes.
You do realize this isn't the first time, though within this period, we've heard a lot, especially from 2017, 2018, 2019 till now.
Yes.
But it is not only within this administration that we've heard of stuff like that.
I agree with you. And so my condemnation is across board. And I wonder how some politicians are able to sleep at night, knowing that you are depriving the people the very basic necessities of life. And in addition, scholarships that are meant for the needy, you grab it, some are grabbing it in doubles, some grab it, they are not even attending the schools, and they are even charging the needy students at discounted rates, monies to be paid before these scholarships are offered to them. I think this issue is a serious threat to national security, and all those involved, the names that have been mentioned, if they have conscience, they must refund the monies paid to them or paid for them by the National Scholarship Secretariat. Benjamin, we have come to a point where we ought not to condone some of these things and accept them as normal.
Right.
Imagine the daughter of Freddie Blay, board chairman of GNPC, a man who claimed that he used his own resources to buy buses for all the 275 constituencies for his party. The daughter of such a man benefiting from scholarships. Now, when that happens, those of us from very humble homes, those of us from homes where our parents had no political office or had no connection to anyone in high authority, what is our fate? Benjamin,
okay, so the 2 minutes is stretching beyond. But I just wanted to ask this in the end.
Yes.
What you're saying resonates with me. I've always shared that my grandfather was a big cocoa farmer in the Oti region. At a point at Bishop Herman, and that's a long time ago, I benefited from cocoa scholarships, cocoa board.
Yes.
And back then it was streamlined. You got it because of my grandfather.
Yes.
That I got it. When I went to Cuba, it was based on merit, the University of Ghana, read Spanish. There was nothing anywhere. It was clear. Top students, a few of them would be selected, benefit.
Yes.
Those who didn't want it or those who may have got it but had the means, actually, interestingly, would go to Spain. Exactly. You get it, footing their own bill.
It happened with the French students as well.
Yes, some would go to France, others would go to Benin, and all of that. In this instance, what do we do? The head himself has said, of the Scholarship Secretariat, has said, maybe we need an act of Parliament, a scholarship act, to regulate. I spoke to Professor Addo and some others who say that's not necessarily the solution. I'm just asking, your administration could come to power in the coming years. What would you do differently? Because we've heard this time and again from politicians, you come and you do the same.
Benjamin, I think that we need to...
Just briefly on that, and then Sweetie will
Benjamin, we need to start from somewhere. I believe that, one, now that this investigation is out and the names have been mentioned, we have to impress on the authorities to ensure that the people mentioned, those who benefited from scholarships that they did not deserve, must be made to refund. Then it becomes a starting point for the conversation.
Refunded.
Yeah, we must refund.
But what
somebody
will tell you they are Ghanaians.
Yes, they are
Ghanaians. But you see, let me tell you, there are two fundamental ways by which people can access scholarships. The first one is based on merit. So like Benjamin said, you may come from a very wealthy home, but there are some scholarships that demands that you make maybe a pass mark or based on your performance. You earn it based on merit. Those scholarships are there. You can't convince me that with the courses that these people went to offer and how they accessed or they got the scholarship, they got it in
the first place.
Person got ill.
They got it.
I think 17,000 plus pounds had been paid.
None of the names mentioned got the scholarship on merit, and that has been established. Number two, must be based on need.
Hold it.
None of these people are needy.
I think if you're looking at the academic prowess of some of them, you could say they could, in some way, get scholarships of different kinds.
Yes, different
kinds. They could merit.
The scholarship.
I'm just saying that on merit,
but not the scholarship secretariat.
But not from here.
Not from here. That's exactly the point. Not from scholarship secretariat. Maybe a university offering you admission based on your performance or how strong your application may be, could have offered any of them a scholarship. And that is none of our business. But we're talking about scholarship from the scholarship secretariat, a government institution. And you can't convince me that any of these people got a scholarship based on merit.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that point.
Refund. And look, people like Gifty Owari, I know Gifty personally.
Can we leave names out of? No, listen. Adam.
I'm not mentioning. I'm making a point. I'm
very passionate.
If Gifty is listening,
yeah. So
if people like Gifty, I know Gifty personally, and I'm making a national appeal to her that look, we the young ones in politics, we must begin to do things differently. The fact that it happened in the past does not justify that it must happen now. If you have conscience, Gifty, go and refund the money. Look, what we are doing, we are destroying the moral fiber of our society. Some things may not be illegal, but they are unethical. It is simply not right. It is cruel. It is wicked. Look, as I sit here today, I have friends from the University of Ghana who did extremely well. Some got first class, got admission. Some of them, all they needed was money to pay for their flight in order to go to the universities outside and access their scholarship. They did not get that. Wow. And yet, they will go to scholarship secretariat. They will tell them, and let me tell you, 2 years ago, the same 2021, 2022, the same season when these investigations took place, I have a friend called Derek Abuchi. Derek did extremely well, applied for scholarship at the scholarship secretariat. He was denied. And these are people who are just Ghanaians who are working hard, want to empower themselves, and you deny them. This is wickedness. Then you share it like toffee. You share it like ice cream among the political class.
Okay.
I don't think that a day will come when these politicians will actually refund this. Perhaps we can. You say it's a morality issue, not a legal issue.
When we start a campaign, they made. Is Freddie Blay not ashamed? Is the CEO of the one is something Bisa Health app or something? Look, I think that anyone who has benefited from this scholarship unmeritedly, they must be made to refund the money. Let's start from here.
Point made.
It is a shame.
Point made.
Wickedness, and I just don't get it.
We can start over again, clean slate, and hopefully, you see, it's always easy for some of these things to be said. But I say that when you're in there and you are able to do the right things, doing the right thing is not standing.
Can I give you my personal experience?
No, I'm not referring to you personally. Yes, I want us to move from there. But I'm just saying that politicians, right? In 2014, you must set the right examples. That's it, bottom line.
In 2014, I was doing my service in Parliament. I was working with the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. At the time, he was Deputy Minister for Education. And so, Get Fund is an institution that is under the ministry. When I informed him that I had gotten admission to Dundee University in the UK and I needed scholarship, he asked me to apply for the scholarship from the institution because he just could not influence the decision of Get Fund to give me scholarship because I was working with him, and I respected his decision.
Did you get the scholarship?
I did not, and I didn't even apply because my boss at the time took a principled decision. Look,
is that why you didn't apply? Because he told you he couldn't influence it for you?
Because I have previous experience where I have put in applications for scholarships, get fund, scholarship secretariat, and I didn't get it.
You see how that plays into exactly what we're seeing.
So I didn't get it.
He thought
so
he could influence it for you because he was your boss at the time. So he was in a position of power. And these people are also in positions of power.
I said, I informed him that I have gotten admission.
But what was...
He said,
okay, so you told him, you were just telling him you had got admission.
Exactly. So when you check, I didn't. I couldn't access that scholarship just because of where I was working. Maybe if I was not working there, based on merit, of course, yes, not to praise myself, but I believe I could merit a scholarship from there. But the point must be made that there are lots of Ghanaians who put in applications for scholarships on daily basis who are deserving.
All right.
For some of them, their parents are not even alive. For some of them, where the next meal is coming from is a challenge. If they can't access it, how are the political...
We literally have about 10 minutes to get into the papers. So
me, I don't mind
your passion.
We're going to have to do this very quickly.
Let's start with
it's amazing how 2 minutes has turned into about 20, right? But it's been a good conversation.
Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. So Graphic, consolidating media leadership, Graphic to raise funds on GSE. So the government has approved a plan to recapitalize the Graphic Communications Group, the injection of fresh capital to enable the wholly state-owned company to run as an independent limited liability company to make critical investments necessary to maximize its potential in the digital media landscape. Currently, the country's biggest media establishment, which has chronicled its history and served the population for more than 7 decades with incredible news, generates only enough to meet its operating expenses and needs additional capital leverage for more strategic investment. Didn't they list the stocks for this on the markets last year sometime? As an attempt to inject more capital into
the fundamental issue here is mismanagement at Graphics. And we need to speak to the issues as they are. A couple of years ago, the Graphic Communications Group Limited was one of the most vibrant, one of the most financially viable media institutions in this country. What happened? That is the question we need to ask. Every single day, when I get my daily Graphic, I see lots of adverts in the Graphic. There is no private newspaper that gets as much adverts or commercials than the Daily Graphic. No private media house. So I want to ask, what happened to Graphic?
Where does the money go?
People are getting comfortable with mismanaging state facilities, state institutions and agencies. And because nobody gets punished, at the end of the day, government will come in like they want to do, re-inject some more capital and all of that. Everybody is just comfortable mismanaging the assets of the state. I think that we must begin as a country to give out some punitive measures to people who mismanage state assets and institutions. So the basic question again is, what happened? As we open the Graphic, almost every page of the Daily Graphic today contains an advert. Why? Are they not raising enough revenue that today they can't even pay their workers? And they have to come back to... you see,
Benjamin, if you want
the things that are becoming a norm in this country, these things have become a norm. And they do it, they mismanage it, government will come in, nobody is punished, nobody is sanctioned, nobody is made to resign, and so people will continue to do some of these things.
Right. Let's get into some other stories.
Yeah, there's a story. There's another story here. No, sorry. Let me do this story about NATO Max 70. No, not this one.
Even my bank is advertising.
Get Fund project must be completed on schedule. So the story is on page 7 of the Daily Graphic. The Ghana Education Trust Fund, a public trust fund set up by an act of parliament to provide funding to supplement the government's efforts to provide education infrastructure from pre-tertiary to tertiary level, has over the years largely lived up to its mandate. Since its inception, Get Fund has funded the delivery of quality education in the country, from the basic to tertiary level, through the fund's accruals from 2.5% VAT imposed on selected goods and services specifically to fix the funding gap in education. Now, though Get Fund, public institutions at all levels have benefited from the provision of academic infrastructure, supply of books, the provision of essential resources for all levels of education, blah, blah, blah. The establishment of Get Fund met some resistance from a section of the public and institutions. Today, there is no question about the usefulness of the fund. I'm not sure what the story is, but I don't want to go on and on and on about it. I think Get Fund is saying that there's some projects that must be completed. During the launch of the Ghana Smart Schools, I was speaking with the administrator, and he said that they released some monies to complete all infrastructure works that are ongoing. We know that NAGRAT is it NAGRAT? Ghana Students Union, something. They are threatening to go on strike because they don't want to uncap Get Fund and all these issues coming up.
Sweetie, the issue is that for the past 6 years, Get Fund has been capped.
I knew you would talk about
Get Fund
the
has
capping.
been mortgaged to take loans and all of that. And so whatever money comes into the account is not used for Get Fund
I see
projects.
what they mean here. Okay.
Now, across
No, but let's clarify. It's not that whatever money comes to the Get Fund is not used. Part of it is shaved off by the capping. But if you say, technically, if you say all the money that comes into the Get Fund is not used by Get Fund,
I will explain what I mean.
Then that's something else.
Benjamin, I will explain what I mean by that. As we speak, Get Fund is owing lots of contractors. And there are some projects that are as old as 10 years, 8 years, 7 years. Now, when you even pay the amount you are owing the contractors, the same amount, they are unable to complete the project because prices of goods and services have increased. At the time they did their estimates and projections, in 2017-2018, cement was being sold at about 38 cedis, 40 cedis, and or depending on the type or brand. Today, cement is about 100 Ghana cedis a bag. So when you are owing a contractor 10 million from 2017 or 2016, and you are paying the contractor the same 10 million, you don't expect him to be able to complete the projects. So this whole business of we have released funds to contractors and all, engage the contractors.
Oh, they have paid for what, 450,000 tablets to be distributed to
you see, because Get Fund has become a political tool. At a time you are owing contractors,
then
almost every single campus, there are projects of Get Fund that are uncompleted. Projects have come to a halt. You can't complete the projects, but you use that as a conduit to provide or pay for 450,000 laptops or tablets to be shared to schools and all of that. It's like you go to a house or a family where they cannot even fend for themselves. They are struggling to get 3 square meals and all of that. Then the next minute you hear that family is out there doing charity that we are donating, just like ECG. That has become the business of this government.
I want to do the headlines in the daily statement before I hand over to you.
ECG was owing a lot of people within the value chain of power production.
Edem,
but they went donating
we have just about 7 minutes to go.
Right,
so
point made.
Let's
look at, and here's what we're going to do.
I'm going to the daily statement. Just
quick headlines, and then you will also just touch and go on the headlines.
So Ghana best governed in West Africa. Interesting. Stories on page 2. World Economic Governance Index puts nation 5th in Africa. Minister hails professionalism of GIS officers. NHI boss outlines 4-point vision to revolutionize healthcare. And CG, the Firm Course injunction application, was ripe for hearing. NDP advocates inclusive governance policy. Those are just headlines on the daily.
Ghana best governed in West Africa.
We don't have time to do that. Sorry.
Well, yeah, there's that UK entity.
Yes, but
I have my own thoughts on that, but We are fifth in Africa. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Right, so World Economics...
Your speed is determined by what is chasing you. That is
no, what I'm chasing, not what's chasing me.
Your speed
World
is determined
Economic...
by what is chasing
Fine.
you.
Let me do the story, Eric.
I've read the story.
So do your reaction.
I've read the story. My point is that if you are a lion and you find yourself competing with snails and all of that, you may obviously become first. But ask yourself, is that where you belong in terms of competition?
All right. So your point is made, but for the sake of our viewers, just briefly look at that story.
Organization in the United Kingdom has ranked Ghana as the 5th best governed country on the African continent and the best governed country in the whole of West Africa. The good governance ranking, according to World Economics, was assessed through 4 main indexes. They are corruption perception, rule of law, press freedom, and political rights. So these are the criteria that Ghana
West Africa.
was
if you are in West Africa, you are competing with countries like where Niger, Nigeria.
Is it Ghana?
Niger technically, but Burkina Faso. But I know what you're trying to say.
I mean, the point is that
but for
that
me,
shouldn't be our target.
For me, really, like that saying, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Because you look at some of the metrics they are using: good governance, democratic practice, corruption perception. And I'll tell you that.
It's only but
it's just that the situation is so bad.
Yes.
That even in our ignominy, we can still rank high because of... I mean, I saw that, and of course, but it's a survey. They have conducted their whatever.
Edem, let's get into your papers quickly.
Just, Edem, we don't have the time. So just your headlines, you can pick one story and look at it.
Well, Mahama Hill's free SHS. That's the story. Do you want me to read the story?
You can read. It actually starts from right there, right here.
Okay. After years of opposing the free senior high school policy, former President John Dramani Mahama has finally admitted that the Akufo-Addo government flagship education program has been successfully implemented. I have listened to President John Dramani Mahama speak on free SHS, and he has been very consistent. His position is this: fix the fundamentals and roll out a free senior high school policy in a manner that you are not compromising quality. And he has been very consistent on that. We have said that the NDC has never been against free SHS. Our approach was that introduce it in an incremental basis where you start with the day students, and that was started in the 2015-2016 academic year. Make sure that you provide the classrooms that are needed so that when free SHS leads to increased enrollment, people will be able to have access to classrooms. Now, when they abandoned all of these fundamentals and decided to implement it, that is why they had to introduce the double track. That is why today you go to many of our senior high schools, they have compromised on quality. And look, they are trying to use the performance of the students in the WASI to justify that free SHS has been successful.
We have to go, right.
But when you go to the schools, they will tell you, many of the teachers will even tell you, all that this government has been able to do and what that they have invested in is that even in terms of supervision during the exams, they are buying, instead of buying textbooks for the kids, they are buying past questions, they are investing heavily in all of those things. And
there's nothing wrong with using past questions.
No, but you don't invest in that at the expense of the textbooks.
Edem,
so
thank you.
Provide a holistic
Point made.
Let's
wrap with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. I'll just look at these two stories. FDA destroys 500 bales of substandard baby diapers valued at 3 million Ghana cedis at a recycle plant in Ashaiman near Tema. Kudos to the FDA for that. But the main story I'll look at, and I'll be gone in 20 seconds. Don't overrun budgets for projects. Finance Minister appeals to MDAs. So the Minister of Finance designate, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has appealed to chief directors and heads of all ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure strict compliance with their stated budgets for the year in order to curtail overruns. That's it for me. And mind you, today, as we wrap, we'll not be doing sports. So right after this, I'll be bringing you my blunt thoughts. And yes, the scholarship bit is one of the things I'm going to be talking about. I'm also going to be talking about the tablet saga. And I've titled my blunt thoughts, The Paucity of Truth Held to Strict Proof. Ghana's hemorrhage continues. The paucity of truth held to strict proof. Ghana's hemorrhage continues. You have 15 seconds to give your final thoughts.
Well, let me say thank you to you for having me, and to wish all our viewers a very good weekend. I will be in Winneba tomorrow for a lecture on the 24-hour economy to the students. Right. Being organized by the Central Regional Youth Wing together with the team over there. And on Sunday, I'll be somewhere in Kumasi doing some preaching in a church. I'm sure City will be surprised, but I'm a pastor too, if you don't know.
God help us all.
I'm not going to say anything. We end the review. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you the news review. As always, they're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Bwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. I'm about to drop bombs, not literally, but figuratively, on Blunt Thoughts. Stay for that.